Okay, I haven't made a video update in a little while besides that La Cathedral video, and mainly because of camera issues, but also because I've been very busy. So it's the summer of 2014, and I did a lot over the spring, and I feel like made a lot of improvements, so I just want to talk about that. So in the spring, I started out and I learned all of the history of tango, and I played it with two different soloists and the recitals. So it's two different recitals, and it gave me a lot of performing experience, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. But as far as my own repertoire goes, I worked on La Cathedral, the first, second, and third movements, and I think that really helped me. The third movement in particular is what I'm going to talk about. So the main issue I had with this was stamina. And it wasn't stamina of just like, oh, I physically can't get through the piece. Like sometimes like I felt that way with, tremolo pieces. I just like couldn't make it through the piece. But with this, it really took an effect on me in the way that it just made me tense after this first section. By the end of the first section, by the time I got to these, all these little scale sections, I couldn't play them because my right hand just felt like it was like really hard to move. It was just super tense. So after talking to my professor and just examining my own playing, I realized that it was really me just trying to increase the tempo of the piece at too big of increments. I was just going like 4 or 5 beats per minute, just, hey, can I play to this speed now? After I was like feeling really good. And what happened then is like I could play at that speed, but it's really tense. So it's just like endless cycle of just me pushing myself to play tensed, like really flexed and everything. And that's how I was describing it. It felt like I was flexing all the time, So anyways, I started practicing just increasing tempo 1 beat per minute at a time, 1 or 2 beats per minute. And that way you don't even notice it. And I really focused throughout the piece, staying relaxed the entire time. And that was key in playing some of these scalar sections. So another thing I really focused on was making sure, like when I was playing things like this, that my fingers weren't, like in my right hand, weren't swinging out really far. Because if that section you're playing and your fingers are moving like this much on the strings, you'll never get it fast. So I really focused on trying to move these as little as possible. And that helps in the scale sections too. So, this piece I think really targeted, this piece for anyone will target their IM alternation. You can play it super fast, it would still, challenge your IM alternation. So I was looking at other ways to increase my IM speed. I was practicing a lot of scales, and I came across an article that Stephen Aron, he's the classical guitar professor at Oberlin Conservatory. He posted an article called Velocity, and I loved it. He gives a bunch of different exercises, and he describes everything in between. And essentially, it's this approach that I never really tried before with scales, and that was like starting too fast and just trying to. I know this is funny in contrast to what I just said, but it'll make sense, especially if you read the article. But it's essentially starting too fast and just trying to do a 5-note burst, and at like a really high tempo. And then when you can't get it, you just kind of slowly make the tempo less. You like turn down your metronome. Of course, this is all with the metronome, but you make the metronome less and less and less beats per minute until you can play it consistently. And it starts out with just like 1 note and 5-note bursts. So it would be something like this, like you're just trying to whip your fingers like across the strings as fast as you can. And then essentially, once you can do it consistently, you keep that tempo and try to do like something like this. And it does all the finger combinations. Then he moves on to tell you to try that. And then little short scales. And things like upwards, ascending scales. And then entire scales, and essentially the approach really helped for me, and it's actually really fun. I've been doing it every single day. I've got it up on my iPad, and I just practice the scales all the time, and it's a really fun way of doing it. And essentially his thought process behind it is that, if you start at, say you can play your scales at like 16th notes, 80 beats per minute, for you to fathom going from 80 to like 110 all in one day, it's like really hard to imagine, and you get really tense, and that's how you end up trying to speed it up. But if you start really high, a goal of like, you know, every time you move it down, you kind of like, ooh, it's like a hit to your ego or something. But, you know, every time you move it down, you feel bad about it. But you know, these little 5-note bursts you can get in. So it's essentially just turning these 5-note bursts into little 8-note bursts, essentially, you know, like a scale. And then going on and on and on from it. And I just think it works really well. I'm going to make a separate video of me just like working through it myself. So maybe other people, if you don't click on the link in the description from this one, maybe you will from that video. But I love it, and I've shown it to several of my friends, and they really like the article too. And yeah, it really helped me. So like I said, it's summer 2014 right now, and I'm home in Tampa. Really cool. I got actually a job at Busch Gardens, and I'm playing guitar in the Burn the Floor show there, which is just like one of the shows in a grill at Busch Gardens. And that's great because it's decent pay, and you know, I get to do what I love. So I'll be heading back up to Tallahassee every couple weeks to take lessons. And yeah, I'm working on my own repertoire too. I'm learning Granada, learning some other Albanese pieces, Majorca, Zamba Granadina, yeah, and a few other things, some Brouwer pieces. But just want to make a video updating where I'm at and some of the things I was working on. And yeah, I'll be uploading a video of the Stephen Aron exercises tonight. Thanks for watching.